just first of all have a, oops, just turn that up. First of all, just have a little bit of a shake. Just move from one foot to the other and just shake your arms. Let the arms hang to your side, and just long arms shaking, then just bouncing from one foot to the other if you can. If you're sitting down, just sit and have a little shake. And lift your arms and flick your fingers around so everything's becoming loose. And why we're doing mindful movement in the morning is to get more embodied. In other words, be more aware of our body rather than be thinking about things all the time. So this will help meditation. It's a very good thing to do before meditation. So we're going to do about 7 or 8 minutes of mindful movement and about 20 minutes of sitting meditation. Okay? So if you just want to stand or sit still, you can first of all just, the people that are standing, you could just twist your hips and let your arms swing round. And you just swing around, let your head turn with your body. So you're swinging, it's called swinging arms. So your hips are driving this. If you haven't got a difficulty with your spine or back, you're sitting down, you can do this as well, whereas your upper body doesn't turn very much, a little bit, but your arms can still swing and it loosen up in the shoulders and help the neck become softer, muscles become softer. If you're standing, you can just swing as much as you want. And just about a thing about the mindful movements, whatever I ask you to do what is only good for you. I mean, if I ask you to do something, you know it's going to cause you a difficulty, don't do it. Or if I'm doing it too long and it's too long for you, then just stop doing it when you want to do it. So just look after yourselves. I can't really see what other people are doing, so just assume you're doing something similar to me. All right, and then just let the arms come down. And then just swing your arms back, and then they'll come forwards. Both arms together. And just flick your arms back, and then you'll notice the hands come forward. And this is a lovely movement to help ease the short shoulders. If you can see me on the screen, you'll see my shoulders lift as my hands go back. I'm not trying to lift my hands. A lot of people think it's about lifting your hands forward. It's much more about flicking your hands back to ease the shoulders. So this is kind of nice movement. And now and again, you can have a little bounce up and down if you can figure that one out. You just like bend the knees slightly in rhythm with the swinging arms, and then just come back to keeping the knees still, arms swinging. Okay, I'll do that. You can just stand and let the arms have a little relax. And what we'll do now is just some sort of like qigong-like movements. So just lifting your hands up towards the top of the chest, turning your hands down. So I'll say that again. Have the hands just down below the belt, palms facing up in front of you, so you're holding a ball. And then you just lift up that ball towards the top of the chest, turn the hands over, and it's as though you're pressing a ball down, like a ball in water. And then turn the hands when they come down, come up and go down. Now, just to make this make you focus more on this movement, just be aware of breathing out as the hands go down. And then when the hands come up, let the in-breath lift them up to the chest. And breathing out, the hands go down. And make sure that you're not lifting your shoulders up when you lift the hands up. Keep shoulders down and the hands just coming up. This is a great de-stressing movement, not one that makes you stress, but it de-stresses you. It takes the stress out of the body because it's so calming. You might not need to be so calm first thing in the morning. You might need to jig around a bit, but we'll do a bit more vigorous movements in the moment. This is just to help us develop that mindful, meditative stance as we move with the breath, breathing in with the up, breathing out with the down. Okay. And you might, I can't do this easily in this room, but you can take the hands up and over and round. Now, so the hands come up with the palms, lifting something, and it goes up above your head. So you can stretch your arms if you want straight up. I'm a very low ceiling here, so I can't stretch so far. Now, if you do it kneeling down, you'll see how you can stretch if you're looking. So when you're breathing in, the hands are coming up. They go right up, your arms almost straight, and then the hands turn and they float down on the out breath. Oh, you can just breathe out, making that nice sound. Oh, everything simply going down. Okay. And for those of you who are standing, you could just do a little bit of marching on the spot. So you just lift your knee up, tap it, lift the other knee and tap it. It's not easy to do this with the breathing. So just balancing on one foot, lifting the knee up, tapping it. If you're sitting down and you can move your legs, you could just straighten the leg out and then pull it back, and straighten the other leg out and then pull it back. Straighten the other leg out, pull it back, straighten the other. If you're standing, carry on marching. Just tapping each knee as you lift the foot. You don't want to lift it too high, just sort of so the maximum, so the knee is horizontal. If it's not moving very much, it would just look like more like this. All right, and now to give the brain a little bit more of a challenge, just stop a moment, have a little shake. Now tap the opposite knee when it comes up. This is making the left side of the brain aware of the right side of the body, the right side of the brain on the other side of the body. And again, sometimes you might feel like it aches a little bit when you're doing this because you're just waking the body up, but you can just go up to the soft edge, a little bit beyond, but not straining yourself. All right, and I'll do another shake the arms and shake and hang down. Okay, so the next movement, you do sitting down or standing up. I'm going to kneel down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring the hands up and place them above my head, fingertips touching with the palms facing upwards towards the ceiling. And I'm going to breathe in, and as I breathe out, I just push the hands up, try and keep the fingertips together. And breathe in, bring the hands back down to touch the head. Breathe out, pushing the hands up, going up and down. You can just stop for a moment when the hands come up and then come down again. And if you want to, you can have a good stretch there. But don't overdo it. Do what you need to do. You may only be just doing a little movement. Bring the hands up now. So we do this really for about 8 repetitions. Not sure how many that is. Then bring the hands down. And now we're going to do another movement where you, first of all, bring your hands up with your arms straight in front of you. Turn the hands so the hands are about shoulder width apart, palms facing in. And then curl your fingers in as though you're going to pull 2 strings towards your chest, and then pull those strings towards your chest, and then pull them apart across the chest, and then press the hands out to the side. So they're going out from the shoulders to the side. And then on the in-breath, you bring them round, arms straight, curl the fingers in as though you're pulling 2 strings towards your chest, pulling them out, turning the hands and pushing. And then you're doing this with a breathing. Breathing in as the hands come round, breathing in, And breathing out. So hands go out. I'm making these extra noises so you can hear what I'm doing with my breathing. Breathing in. Breathing out. Okay, and so one more movement. This time, place one hand by, say your left hand, place it by the top of your shoulder with the palm facing up to the ceiling, and then place your right hand by your belt, by your hips, and then as you breathe out, push the hands apart so the arms straighten. So one's pressing up towards the sky, the other's pressing down to the earth. When you breathe in, bring the hands in front of you, swap over, right hand above the shoulder, left hand by the hips, and pushing apart as they pushing the earth and the sky apart. Breathing out and you're pushing. Okay, and now have a shake. And we're going to meditate now. So if you take up a meditation posture, just going to readjust my camera so you can stay in touch with you by letting you see me. What I'm doing this from this angle. So get yourself as comfortable as you can. And just to remind you, meditation posture is a posture you undertake. It's a bit like a ritual, really. You find a position, but when you get into it, you know you're going to meditate. So if you're just leaning back in an armchair, I'm afraid you're mildly disadvantaged. So if that's all you can do, you'll have to find some other little trigger or sort of trigger that tells you this is meditating. So you just find a way of sitting. If you're on a chair, it's ideal if you can not slouch. If your spine curves down when you're sitting, it puts quite a lot of pressure on the spine. It's not particularly good for the back. I know it's a bit uncomfortable sitting straight up, but the body gradually adjusts so that the vertebrae are all sitting nicely one on top of the other. And when you're sitting in a chair, you're usually squashing the discs in your lower back, which leads to lower back problems usually as you get older. So sitting quietly, bringing attention to your breathing. So I'm just running a few minutes late. So we're going to meditate for 20 minutes. And so we'll probably go over the hour just slightly. If you need to leave for any reason, obviously leave whenever you want. But let's all just imagine, use your kind of memory. You could look at the screen if you're on gallery view. I think you're probably seeing me actually at the moment, but you can remember what gallery view looks like. There's all these other people, 20 something of us in Europe. We're all sitting to meditate. It's our community. It's really wonderful. We're sitting together, meditating together. We don't need to be looking at each other. We just have that sense out there around us. I mean, you could all be in the same room. You'd still be outside my head around me. You just happen to be at a distance. But I can be aware of you, all. I can't visualize you particularly, but I am aware that I'm talking to and joining in with and meditating with a community of people on this retreat. So let's just tune into that fact. We're not alone. We're connected And we're all breathing. We're all on this earth. We're all breathing. And after that mindful movement, we might be just breathing with a kind of sense of, oh, release. Nice to sit still. And so we bring stillness, or we bring awareness to the stillness in the body that doesn't have to move. And unfortunately, when you bring awareness to the body, if you've got pain, I know quite a few of you got pain in their bodies, then you have to use your compassion, your loving kindness to hold, be aware of that part of your body that's hurting, like a small child that's hurting. And in your mind, you're holding that like a baby who's crying, is distressed, calming as best you can your body that's hurting. And if you feel tension around the area of physical pain, you can try to release that on the out breath. Don't try too hard. You're not trying to do something, because releasing isn't a doing, it's more or less a not doing, a letting go. If you happen to be suffering from quite strong emotions, thoughts, like if you're anxious about anything, for instance, feeling a bit down, or you might even be feeling irritable, just accept that's what's happening. That's just how it is. Nothing wrong with that. It's just come. And you can perhaps feel that irritability, that distress in the body somewhere. Maybe it's holding your belly tight. So just again, this is all part of the meditation. We're just refocusing on different parts, letting go as best we can, softening, until we begin to feel as though we're coming home to being in the body. Enjoying the peace and quiet now. And then the breath is just coming and going. It's just anchoring us to this moment. The mind will bring other more interesting things to our attention. This is kind of like making the mind a bit of an object. It's not really like that. We just have things that pop into the mind and grab our attention. But we can come back using the breath as an anchor, like a boat is anchored in a bay, sunny day. The wind, the worldly winds want to push our mind in all sorts of directions, but we've got the breath to come back to anchor us here, right now, in our body, with the breath coming in and going out. And whenever the mind wanders off, is recognizing, as when you can, that you've moved away from paying attention to your breath. And then you can choose, do you want to pursue this thought, this feeling, this emotion, or do you want to just come back to base, home base, with the breath, which you're breathing every moment of your living life? It's what makes us alive. Happening all the time. Can be seem a bit boring to be aware of the breathing, but just think of it as your life-giving force. Each breath is bringing you the possibility of more energy, feeding all the cells in your body with the oxygen it needs to produce energy. Even your thoughts kind of needs oxygen in the brain to think your thoughts, to interpret things, perceive things. You don't need to bother with any of that, really. You can just be as though you're walking along with the breath, or sitting still, if that's a better metaphor. Depends how your mind's. If your mind's very active, you might think you're walking. You're just coming to see a nice bench to sit on in the woods, sit down, to let go, let the breath just breathe itself. So you become just the breath. You're not watching the breath, you are the breath, the life-giving force of breathing. Whenever any noises or any disturbance takes place, it may be a thought coming in to the mind. I kind of like to think of my mind like a bit of like a space, like the ocean. All my thoughts are like fish. And sometimes there's a great big dolphin, even a whale, sometimes a shark floating through my mind. And it can't attack me because it's in my mind. And it just floats through. I just let it go. Towel, swishing. The thought goes away. Passes by. Goodbye, thought. Sometimes the thoughts are like a shoal of fish swimming through our mind. Mind's jumping from one thing to another. So gradually learning to identify consciousness with something vast, ocean-like. Full of love, full of safety, support, makes us robust, able to cope with the difficulties of our normal life. And also it's what allows us to enjoy all the good things, beauty. And then just keep coming back to kind of allowing yourself to dissolve or resolve things so they all form a wholeness. It's not you and your thoughts, it's just breathing. That's all we need to be aware of. We are breath. We are breath. We are breath. And just checking where you are now, as you wandered off to with something that's come into your mind. The mind is basically paying attention to what's interesting. We have the power to decide to make something interesting too, which is what we do in the breathing anchor, allowing ourselves to discover the breath, sensations of breathing, and marveling at the fact that those sensations are what really is us. We are sensation. We are breath. We are breathing. It feels, if we can feel ourselves and allow ourselves just to be that, it's as though we open up spaciousness, an expansive experience we're absorbed in. And if we can't, if everything feels like it's not working, then just being aware of that, it will have the same effect, just being aware of whatever's happening. It's all happening in the vastness of your mind. You're just a bit over-focused on that one thing, but you forget about the vastness, consciousness. The pain, the worry, the anxiety, distress, they're all quite small in the vastness of our mind. One of many, many things that's happening to us in this present moment. So without ignoring them, just holding the discomfort, the pain, difficulty within a broader, kinder brightness of being. And then relaxing into it. Well, not really relaxing, just letting go into it. Letting it be. So this brings the first practice to an end. If you want to carry on sitting, please continue to do so. And if you need to move around, move around. So when you've felt you need to, we've got just under an hour and a half to go, and if you're needing breakfast now, to go and have something to eat or get ready for the 9:30 session UK time, when I'll be introducing you to the hindrances and awakening factors. So you've got some kind of free time now to use well. Use it. Use this free time. Always try to use the free time in this retreat to be aware of everything you're doing. So if you're drinking a cup of coffee or tea or herbal concoction, taste it. Just think, oh, what does this really taste like? You might discover sometimes you don't really like it, and you think, oh, I'll just drink this because it's a habit. And just be aware of that. There's so much to marvel at in life. And it's kind of harder in a way when you have to do it on your own. But that's where the training also continues. That's where we go deeper. So let's all go off and experience ourselves and come back at 9:30 for the next session. So bye for now.